If you have a tip for our I-Team, you can email us by going to abcactionnews.com/I-Team.
Well, tonight we wrap up our coverage of Cuba. We flew into Havana Saturday on one of the first flights from Tampa to Havana in 50 years. We returned with a new look at life in a communist country that is so close to us and yet so far from the life most of us live.
It has the charm, the spirit, has the soul.
Luis Valdez makes his living taking visitors on tours of Havana. He says it's a good job when tourism is good. Usually he talks about the Great Morro Fort or Old Havana, but we asked Luis to talk about life for the average Cuban today.
Normally people go to work. They work normally from 7 to 4, from 8 to 5.
Most people work for the government, meaning most Cubans don't own their own businesses, and they get a set salary determined by the state. This bartender told us he makes about 10 convertible pesos a month. That's a little more than $10. But this taxi driver charged us 10 convertible pesos for a half-hour ride. Since he's a state employee, it's hard to know how much he actually pockets. Fernando Barral, who is one of the growing number of Cubans allowed to own a private business, studied to be a mechanical engineer, but he says there was no money to be made in that. With his restaurant,
at the beginning, it gave a lot of profit because we had a lot of tourists, but now it's a little bit short, so and so.
In rural Cuba, life is much different. This is home video taken by relatives of mine by marriage. There's no tourism. Many state jobs are tied to tobacco, factories, and farming.
When you live outside of Havana, I would say the life is more quiet, right? And for example, you are closer to the countryside area, so it's a lot less expensive.
With all this great fertile land, one might ask why American relatives still pack airplanes full of food, clothing, and medications to take to their Cuban families.
We have under a very important, very strong commercial and embargo.
Luis believes the lack of food, clothing, and medicine is due to the U.S. embargo. However, other Cubans and many Cuban Americans suggest communism is to blame. The government does provide rations of rice and other essentials to their citizens. They are also in control of the gas.
People keep their American cars in a very good condition. Some of them are now better than when they came from the factory because people have been improving.
And while there are no auto repair shops, in just about every neighborhood, there is a specialist who lives down the street.
Mostly from the ex-Soviet Union, now Russia. Well, we used to get many parts for the trucks and for the cars. So people use it and then they adapt.
But despite obvious economic hardships, most Cuban people appear to enjoy life. Often through things that are free: music, friends, and family. Well, I know opinions on the island nation are still sharply divided. They actually are divided in my own family. But I was only in Cuba for 2.5 days, so I could only bring back the information I was able to gather while there. If you'd like to see all of my reports as well as pictures, go to my Facebook fan page. Look for Linda Hurtado, WFTS, under Pages.
Investigators are looking into a